What's up guys, Nom here, and today I'm going to show you how I do my cinematics in between clips. So what I first do is I get my cinematic and I crop it so that there's no like spectating or anything, nothing's going on, and then I usually just add a flare. Any kind of flare works. Like, you can get presets, you can make your own. I made this on my own. I'm not the best at flares, but any flare really works. Alright, so once you get your cinematic, you want to find the beat in the song where you want to transition in between clips. Here's my first clip, and there's my second clip, and there's what's in between the 1 and the 2 is the cinematic. So what I first do is I add the actual cinematic in between the clips. You can see that it extends way beyond that, but what you want to do is try to include the entire cinematic by using Twixster. So I don't really use any fancy Twixter settings. I just add Twixter, change it to the best keyframes, which is 59.94, change up my image prep, change up my warping, and then I'm done. So what you do with Twixter, so it doesn't have any weird keyframes, you always keyframe 100% right before the actual clip. And then what I do for the transition effect is that I usually make it very fast in the beginning, and then about like in between the middle and the end of the part where you want the cinematic is where I make it down pretty slow, like 50%, and I'll make my keyframe easy ease. And then where the second clip comes in, you want to snap to that part, you want to trim it off, and then you want to increase the speed so it like speeds up super fast. Maybe not 1,000, maybe like 950. So then I'll speed up super fast, and it'll just flow really nice. So let me render out a quick preview. See how this looks real fast. Like, these aren't the exact speeds you should use, but it's just like a general reference. I don't know. You just have to play around with them. Yeah, see, like, that one for me was... Yeah, that looks good to me. Alright, so the next thing that I do for my cinematics is that I keyframe my scale and rotation. And this is a very important step to make the flow absolutely the best it can be. You want to take these and make them easy ease by pressing F9. Once you press F9, you got that all sorted out. You want to take your cinematic and you want to scale it up a bunch and make it different rotations so it's just like tilted. It looks kind of weird right now. And then what you want to do is you want to press U, so you bring up all the keyframes. You want to go where the Twixter slows down completely to the lowest part it'll ever go, which for me was 50%. And then I want to scale it out and then make it 0. And then it adds a little camera effect, so it'll like slow down, speed up, and it just looks like a freaking movie. Anyway, you go to the last keyframe where the Twixter ends, where the cinematic ends. You want to scale it back up, and like usually it'll look good either way. But what I do, the most important part for me, what I always do is like, if this one was negative, this rotation keyframe was negative, you want to take the last keyframe for rotation and make it positive. So if this was positive, you would make that one negative. And that looks pretty sweet. And now that I'm done with that, I do my last few effects, which are adding on my blur transition. At 30 likes, look at this way. No, I'm just kidding. Basically for my blur transition, it's like pretty easy. Just make the blur like 10, twitch pretty normal amount, exposure, make sure it just isn't too bright, as long as it adds a little flash. And then you want to take all these keyframes. You do not want to push that far back. Okay, so you put them like right there, and then you want to take all those keyframes, copy them, go a bit ahead in the timeline, paste them. You want to go to keyframe assistant and reverse them. Then you go to the end of the cinematic, and you want to take the last keyframes, and then you want to make them so that they're at the end of the cinematic. And so what this does is basically when I reverse them, it took this effect and it reversed it. So, excuse me. It zooms in, it blurs in with this nice transition, and then it has the same exact transition out, so it just looks super smooth. Okay, so here we go. That's basically all there is to my cinematics. There's one last part, if any of you really want to do this part. I only do it for some of my cinematics, but go one keyframe before, keyframe completion on the CC JAWS for widescreen, go 6 keyframes ahead, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change it to around 84, 85. Go to 2, go 1 keyframe ahead, go 6 keyframes back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change it, pick a constant keyframe, and then go ahead another 6 frames. And then make it 90. Just adds a little extra flow, in my opinion. It looks real good with real smart motion blur. And then it comes out with this. See, it like chops these down, goes out. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this tutorial. Sorry if I stuttered like that. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want more of these, just leave me any feedback, any questions on some of my effects, or how I do my things, or whatever. Alright, peace, bye.